This is Good Morning.
Good morning, Texas. I'm Amy Vanderoff. Brenda Teal and Gary Kogel are also here this morning, but I have an important question to ask you. Have you ever driven while feeling tired or drowsy? According to the National Sleep Foundation, 1/2 of American drivers have admitted to driving while sleepy, and the consequences to tired driving can not only be costly, but deadly. Thousands of people die because someone fell asleep at the wheel. And our sleep expert, Dr. Craig Schwimmer with the Snoring Center, is here this morning to talk about the dramatic effect sleep, or lack of sleep, not only has on your driving, but your job performance, too. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning, Amy.
This is startling. What is happening to our body when we do not get enough sleep?
You know, a lot of things, all of them bad. Pretty much people ask, well, what happens if you're sleep deprived? Well, anything that you do suffers.
Okay.
From mental performance, your ability to form and recall memories. People's judgment suffers when they're sleep impaired. People's motor performance is impaired, so our reaction time suffers if we're drowsy. So really, anything that you're doing, you are not doing as well as you can or should if you're sleep impaired.
And I bet so many of these drowsy drivers, let's say, don't even think that they're drowsy drivers. Everybody thinks that they are a machine.
Absolutely.
And they can go without sleep and that they are never too tired to drive, but it's like being intoxicated.
That's exactly right. And the analogy really holds true because when you've had some alcohol, you don't realize that your judgment is impaired and that your performance is suffering. The exact same thing holds true when you are sleep deprived.
Yes.
And in fact, studies show that there are a couple of really easy ways to get as impaired with sleep deprivation as by alcohol consumption. If you simply go 24 hours without sleep, your performance is the same behind the wheel as if you are legally drunk.
Wow.
Go 4 or 5 nights in a row with 4 or 5 hours sleep per night, same thing.
And that's really easy to add up, especially if you're traveling and you're flying. And like you said, you're hopping into rental cars, you're on different time zones. Getting that lack of sleep or staying up 24 hours and then driving is something that a lot of people are doing.
That's exactly right. And particularly executives who travel, business people who are on the road a lot, these road warriors have schedules which do not allow them to get adequate sleep. And they suffer, and we as a society suffer in many ways.
Okay, let's talk about job performance, because this is another area that we don't talk enough about. How does sleep deprivation affect your job performance in the office?
In many, many ways. And in fact, there's an article that I love to cite that was in the Harvard Business Review about 2 years ago called Sleep Deficit, the Performance Killer. And it's brilliant because it highlights the impact that sleep deprivation has on the U.S. economy and job performance. It's estimated that sleep deprivation costs the U.S. economy over $150 billion a year.
Wow.
In decreased productivity, increased workplace accidents, and it's quite remarkable because the things that we ask people to do just don't make sense.
Okay, what are we asking people to do? Extended hours, certainly.
Well, extended hours, double shifts, road warriors who take a 7 a.m. flight, you know, arrive at their destination, work all day, have an 8 p.m. dinner, don't get to bed until 11 or 12, get up 5 or 6 hours later, and do this 4, 5, 6 nights in a row. Well, we know by definition that they are impaired during and at the end of this trip, and they're conducting important business, and it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, let's talk about the important business they conduct. What do we need to say to our employers to let them realize that this productivity affects everybody?
Well, we just need to tell them that the way to get more productivity out of an employee is not to work them longer hours, it's to work them better hours, smarter hours. And one of the ways to do that is to have a corporate sleep policy. I mean, there's not a company left in America that doesn't say you can't drive a company vehicle or you can't conduct company business if you've had 3 martinis at lunch.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But we let people come in with inadequate sleep. We let people go on a red-eye flight or an overnight international flight and conduct important business, and they're impaired. They're as impaired as if they're intoxicated.
Okay.
It doesn't make sense.
So we need to not only take care of ourselves, but also have the attention of our employers to say this is important for everybody's productivity and well-being. Well, Dr. Craig Schwimmer, thank you for shedding light on this very important subject. And for more information about getting a better night's sleep, log on to Dr. Schwimmer's website, and it's snoringcenter.com. Okay, do you want to make sure your Valentine's Day goes off without a hitch? Here's Brenda with some helpful tips.
All right, thank you, Amy.